y'all ready to head off the trails? I'm the Cryptid Huntress, Jessica Jones, and I'm ready to take you on a mysterious journey right now. We welcome you to Off the Trails right here on Spaced Out Radio's YouTube channel. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, please do. We would really appreciate the love. And shout out to Bumblefoot for that amazing intro music. Once again, we really appreciate it. You guys, please follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. You guys know to please follow me on my website, thecryptidhuntress.com, and subscribe and like all my videos on The Cryptid Huntress at YouTube. Visit my shop, War Woman Goods. You can find beautiful jewelry like this necklace and a lot of Native American vintage jewelry and other goods right there. So y'all go check that out. I have a fantastic set of guests tonight. I have a whole group here tonight, y'all. I have the Sasquatch Sisters Northwest in the studio tonight. Don't forget that right after this show, After Hours has a really awesome program set up for us. So y'all don't miss that and go straight there after we're done here. Let's get to our guest, y'all. The Sasquatch Sisters Northwest is an all-women Sasquatch research team based out of the panhandle of North Idaho and Eastern Washington. Cindy, Tonia, Angelique, and Deanna all conducted field research on their own and formed a team to cover their areas of high strangeness. They are currently working on the Hoodoo Mountain project, investigating all of the paranormal activity in the Hoodoo Valley area. Y'all, I am so excited about this tonight. I would like for y'all to help me welcome to Space Out Radio tonight. I have Miss Tonia, I have Cindy, and I have Angelique here with me tonight. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Hey, thank y'all so much for being here. This is going to be so amazing. This is the most guests I've ever had at once on Space.
Let alone women, right?
And it's not only about the quantity, it's the quality, man. The quality of you guys. This is going to be so great.
Woo, woo.
Yeah, y'all. I would love for y'all to tell me, any one of y'all, to tell me a little bit about the Sasquatch Sisters Northwest and how y'all formed. Maybe Cindy, you can tell me about you guys.
Hey, how y'all doing today? Southern girl here, Jessica, Southern girl.
Oh yeah, I'm from Georgia. Oh yeah.
Oh, Georgia, I love Georgia. So I've been a researcher since 1999. Have you heard of the Bigfoot Outlaws?
Oh yeah, it sounds familiar.
Okay.
I'm out.
Okay, well, I was one of the Bigfoot Outlaws. Well, they weren't called that then, but I ran around with those guys. Well, the original ones like Bear and Kumbo, whatever. And I could write a book just on the Big Thicket where I've been, southeast Oklahoma. We would take our horses, our riding and stuff. And then I moved up here in 2004 with the military, and I met Angelique in, 2009. She lives here in this area, the Hoodoo Valley. I still live here. We'll be talking about that later. And I've just known her forever, and we've been exchanging notes, and I've had a lot of audios, and, she's told me her stories, and I've gone to her property. She's come to my property. And this last winter, this year, when I was down in Texas for the winter, I said, Angelique, we need to form a team. So we formed the team, and then we added Deanna in, which she couldn't be here tonight. And then there was a missing piece to the puzzle, which was Tonia. And I did not know that.
Tonia, who's a friend of the show, and my friend.
Yeah. So we're a new group, and we all have different talents, and I'm learning a lot. And that's kind of, like I said, we're new. So
yeah, but you're not new, because you guys you've all been doing your own thing in different areas for a while.
Right. So I've been a researcher since 25, 29 years. But when I was little, it started when I was little, because I saw the Patty Gilman film, but I didn't start researching until 99. But so no, the group is new, but each of us have been doing our thing for a long time.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I know Tonia in your story about a lot of your Bigfoot research. Now, Angelique, and we're gonna get to that in just a minute. But Angelique, I would really like to hear about your research in that the area that you guys are researching is called Hoodoo Valley and Hoodoo Mountain. What is a little bit of the history of that?
Well, it started for me because I lived on a property opposite the mountain of Cindy, and I was having so much, I guess, activity on my property that I decided to research the area, and I jumped down a rabbit hole that kept me at the library in Coeur d'Alene for weeks, going through the genealogy section and just discovering all the legends of the area is absolutely incredible. It started, actually, the history of this paranormal activity has been going on for literally probably a couple hundred years.
Longer than that.
Started,
Wow.
yeah, well, in documentation, actually, is what I should say.
Sorry.
It started with the fur traders and the Native Americans. And in our area, it's the Coeur d'Alenes, the Kalispels, the Pend Oreilles, the Nez Perce. These are all the tribes that are from this area. And they had their own, I'm sure, their own translation, and they were the ones that named the area. However, the name hoodoo has two different definitions. One of them is basically weathered columns of rock, and there's a lot of basalt, and you can see the rim rock as you're going through Hayden and places like that. But really what it is mostly about is the deep Southern slang for what is basically considered anything that is voodoo, dark, witchcraft, any kind of dark entity and paranormal. And well, probably, and this is just my guess, but probably a fur trader or somebody that was a settler tried to translate what the natives' name for this area was and just kind of encompassed it into just one word, and that was hoodoo. And it has throughout the documentation, and I really encourage you, if you're in the Coeur d'Alene area, to go to the genealogy section. There's books called just beautiful hardback embossed books entitled the Hoodoo Valley, and this whole region has had just paranormal sightings from people, apparitions. There's been, of course, Sasquatch, many cryptids, including Dogman and little people and many other things. Also, there's been sightings of just some very terrifying things that we're not even really sure what they are. But it's, yeah, hoodoo hoodie, yeah. There's Thunderbirds. There's been people who have had all kinds of weird things happen from lost time. And I think even Tonia and I kind of experienced that about a week or so ago, where there's been sightings of portals and all kinds of just some absolutely bizarre things that go on in this area. And even suicides for no apparent reason, where people would literally be doing perfectly fine and then they would just kill themselves and with no explanation. Wow. So it really has a mystical dark side. And even the town of Spirit Lake is known for its mysteries of the lake and, you know, the legends that encompass that area. But boy, it is a hot spot. I mean, it is absolutely a hot spot. And when I moved into this area, I was just somebody that really didn't know much about anything in that aspect. And it didn't take me long after I moved into the ranch that I had moved on to before I was a firm believer.
Now,
So-
have you had any personal experience with Sasquatch, or you guys have even encountered Dogman, several different inhumanoid type creatures. What is your personal experience with this?
Are you asking me or one of the other girls?
Yes, Angelique, if you don't mind talking about it. I mean, if whatever you ladies are comfortable talking about tonight, I know this can all be kind of sensitive and it's a lot to wrap your head around. Whatever you're comfortable talking about tonight, have you had any firsthand experience with Sasquatch or a Dogman?
Oh
Yes.
boy.
Boy. Which story?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I want to hear from each one of you guys. Yeah. Well, I'm really into Dogman.
Why don't we let?
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So whoever wants
Cindy,
to go.
do you?
Yeah. Cindy, okay, so I guess I can kind of help
Cindy.
navigate because there's so many stories, and I think Angelique has a very powerful story of her kayaking on Sullivan Lake that I think
Tell that
is
story.
a really powerful story, as well as another one when she was camping and something circling her tent. So if you want to pick one of those, Angelique, those are good stories to share.
Okay. Well, I don't want to monopolize the time tonight, so I'm just gonna kind of put it in a nutshell for y'all. So,
And we do have pictures, by the way. So whenever you guys have, we have pictures from all of you guys. So y'all just let me know when we're hitting those spots.
Great.
Okay.
Well, my first encounter started about 20 years ago, and I did have a very up close encounter with a large male Sasquatch. I probably came within 8 feet of him. I was close enough I could see his eye color. So, and I didn't know that he was a Sasquatch. I thought he was a big, hairy guy and a nudist. So
could you see? You could see his anatomy.
I could not. I didn't look for that because once I realized that he was naked, once I realized he was naked, I thought I was looking at a person, and so I wasn't, I wasn't looking because I didn't want to embarrass him, and I sure didn't want to embarrass myself.
Absolutely.
But
it's like put a leaf over that.
So exactly. Well, I didn't see anything like that, but you could definitely, there was nothing feminine about this person. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And when he stood up, he was probably 2 feet taller than my dad, and my dad was 6'6". So, and his biceps were like this, He reached up with his arm and moved a branch out of his face, and I honestly did not know that I was looking at a Sasquatch. So it was a mind-blowing experience when I got online, and this was early in the early 2000s. So research was still very minimum when it came to Sasquatch. I got online and I typed in what I had seen, trying to find out what the skin disease was that would make somebody have excessive body hair. And I expected people to tell me what it was. And to this day, I can't retain it. People have told me the name of it. I don't know how many times, but I can't remember the name of the disease. But the same thing is what like the wolf boy. Yeah. So the wolf boy what was that?
Yeah, I don't know the name of that either. I had it written down somewhere around here. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's what I thought that it was. And so it completely blew my mind. What was it?
Right here. Hypertrichosis.
Yes. That's exactly what it was.
Brown dwarf
yes,
is always
thank you.
Yes,
thank you. Well, that was back when they had the caller IDs, and the caller IDs it would tell you on your landline who was calling. And I got a phone call from the US government after I typed it into this site, and it was a gentleman that wanted to talk to me about the Sasquatch that I saw at Sullivan Lake. Well, I didn't see Sasquatch. I don't know what you're talking about. And he kind of laughed, And he kind of said, he didn't say it, but he kind of gave me the impression that he was kind of saying, oh, come on, you and I both know what you saw. So come on, tell me about the Sasquatch that you saw at Sullivan Lake. And I don't know why, but I immediately got a feeling, do not talk to him. Don't tell him anything. And I just said, I didn't see a Sasquatch. I saw a guy, and I hung up on him. And then he tried calling me back, and I saw on the caller ID that he tried calling me back, and I didn't pick up. And to this day, in all fairness, I don't know what it was he wanted to talk to me about. He could have been, perfectly fine, but my gut told me don't talk to him, so I didn't. And that just opened it up for me.
Wow.
So, and yeah, I have had many encounters since then, and most of them, thankfully, have been with other people with me. So I've had witnesses, my family included, even the girls, thank goodness that they've been there too. So Cindy and Tonia, and we've been able to have encounters ourselves. So it's it was something I never expected in my life, and once it started happening, I realized then that maybe this was something that I was supposed to do, and that was to learn about these beings. And coming from the tribe where I grew up, which was the Colville tribe in northeastern Washington, and the elders had talked to me and said, these are people, they're not an animal, and they need to be respected. And I felt like, they need a voice. They need a voice from someone who knows about them, who can let other people know that they're not an animal, they're people.
Yeah. Wow. Do you feel like it's your mission in a way now? Yeah. So
yes.
Yeah.
The creek story, you should tell her that one. That one's scary.
I know. It's like she has so many stories. And for those of you that want to hear that story more in detail, check out the Selkirk Range Sasquatch YouTube channel. That's where I actually saw Angelique's story before I had even met her. And when I went to met her in person, I'm like, I already know you. I watched your story on the Selkirk Range Sasquatch channel. And she goes into detail about how she was kayaking and how she came upon, that Sasquatch.
Wow.
Lots of activity around Sullivan Lake too. Lots of tracks, lots of vocalizations. There's a research team that goes up in that area on that Selkirk Range Sasquatch channel. They do a lot of research up in that area too.
Now, I wanted to give the audience an idea of where you guys are located. Okay, so I have this map. This is Idaho. So you guys are in Idaho and in eastern Washington. This is part of the Hoodoo Mountain range, okay, where you ladies are doing your research. And so that is where it is. That's in the panhandle of Idaho, okay? And I got this picture off the internet. This is just part of the Hoodoo Mountain range in Idaho.
Yep.
I'm not sure if that's anywhere near where y'all research. I know it's vast. But it's just to give everybody an idea of kind of where you guys are. So, yeah, I want to hear some more stories. Okay.
The creek. Angelique, tell me about.
Can I share something?
Yes.
Just really quick as a side note. So we started our own YouTube channel, and it was handling reports and letters from people in the inland Northwest that had encounters. And I had a woman share a story with me from 1977, and I posted it on our channel, but we are 99.9% sure that the being she had encountered when she was 7 years old was the Bossberg Cripplefoot from 1969. And the Hoodoo Mountain range hooks into the Selkirks, and the Selkirks run all the way up into British Columbia, and they go all the way down to the Palouse, and they cross into northeastern Washington. And so this Bossberg Cripplefoot, where Renee DeHinden got all of the tracks back in 1969, traveled 30 miles, and 8 years later, there was the same tracks cast outside this woman's camper when she was a little girl, and her family still has that cast somewhere, but unfortunately, unless we compare the two, we don't know for sure that that's the one. But the Bossberg Cripplefoot most likely ran this whole range.
Wow. And it also makes you wonder, what is the age range of these beings? Like, how old do they live to be? You know, that's something I've always wondered.
Hundreds.
I heard thousands. I've even heard up in the 1200s, some of them, like some of the elders.
Wow.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know, but that's interesting that you've got the same footprint, and it's so easy to see that the crippled, you know, gait of this being, you know, it's those tracks are pretty defined right there. If you're gonna are pretty identifiable. Yeah. Wow. Now I actually have a video, Angelique, that you sent in, and it's of you. This is you or someone in your family, perhaps, or a friend that is showing a track that you have that you guys found. Now, is this at Hoodoo Mountain? And can I show that right now?
That is actually it's in the Hoodoo Valley, and it's outside of Spirit Lake, and Spirit Lake is in the Hoodoo Valley. And that track started a few weeks ago. My daughter-in-law was up in the woods with her best friend, and they were just getting some moss for her friend's turtle. And so they went over there and started getting sticks thrown at them. And so she called me up and said, you know, Mom, I need you to come down here because we've got some activity here, and I think you should come check it out. So I went back with them, with my daughter-in-law and my son. And the picture that you're going to see is when we went up there to investigate, we found the tracks. And that is that video that I've got. And then my son went ahead and cast it. And that's my son that you see holding the cast.
Oh, great. Okay, I'm going to play the video. Maybe not the entire video for a matter of time, because I want to get to so much more tonight too. But I wanted to show the audience this. Now, the audience won't be able to hear us while we're showing the video. Okay, so all right, here we go. Let's see it.
So starting from heel to toe is 16 inches. And then going across.
What I am seeing here is some disturbed moss. So whether it was a deer or something else.
7 inches across. And you can see the indentation underneath the stick was rocked, so it was stepped here first, and then the center archway of the foot causing the stick to drop back down full force to stick up like that.
All right. I love that. I love that.
Awesome.
Very detailed in how he explains how the stick went down, and, you know, and the weight of it made the indentation. I love that. He's a good tracker. I like that.
Yeah, he is.
That's a big track. 7 inches across is very wide. That's not huge.
Yeah, and it was 16 inches long. Yeah.
16. I mean, I know people with 16-inch feet. Okay, I do. Like big feet, basketball players and just tall guys. But 7 inches wide, that's really wide. I mean, that's as wide as long as many women's feet are. Okay. So, so yeah, that's amazing. And I also, y'all ladies, y'all know I want to get to a lot of these pictures that we have tonight.
I was going to say, why don't you show some of the tree structures and we can talk about those, because they're all over. Yeah.
Yes. And I also want to get to Cindy's property as well.
Absolutely.
So let's just go down the list. Okay. And I want to show a picture of all four of y'all. And I think I already showed this earlier tonight. Now we're going to go to the tree structures. All right.
Okay. Angelique and I can talk about this one.
Okay.
So a couple of weeks. Okay. So a few months back, Cindy and Angelique found this tree structure, and this is in the Hoodoo Valley, right, Angelique?
Yes.
Okay. So they found this structure, and when Angelique took me back there, it was probably a couple of weeks ago. She has a bright red Jeep. Okay, guys. So we got out of the Jeep. We didn't take our backpack. The tree structure was not far from the Jeep. We had driven into this state land. for her to show me this property. We had left our windows down in the Jeep because we thought we were just going to step out, take a look at this tree structure, and then head back to the Jeep and have some snacks, because we had some snacks in there. And we were kind of, we were at Spirit Lake. We were doing a little investigating this day. And so we start heading out towards this structure, and we start seeing these huge bones, just huge bones. And these bones were not chewed on. They looked like they had been sucked on, and they were white as white could be, like they were bleached, and there was no meat on them. They had no teeth marks on them. And we just kept following these bones. We kept finding them and seeing them. And we could still see the Jeep at this time. Well, we get back to this tree structure, and we just kind of start walking around it. We're checking it out. I'm taking some photos. And then we start to see some more bones, in the area. So we're just kind of checking out the bones. And before you know it, I made the comment to Angelique. I said, you can really get turned around in these woods. It's so thick here. I said, I'm glad that you know where you're going. And she goes, oh yeah, the road is just over here. We start heading back towards what we thought was the Jeep. And you see how thick these woods are, you guys. Yeah. We start heading back, and we are not, it's kind of, there's mounds throughout this whole area. So it wasn't like we were walking on flat surface here. We had walked for what appeared to be about 20 minutes, and we realized we were not finding the Jeep. And so we kept walking and walking. And then we finally, Angelique's like, oh my gosh, like, where are we? And we finally find what appeared to be the dirt road that the Jeep was on. And we step out onto this road, and then we realize, we look from side to side, and we didn't have bear spray on us. We didn't have our gun on us. We had nothing, because we thought we were literally taking a few steps to, away from the Jeep to look at this tree structure. And then we walked to the right a little bit. She's like, okay, this is where your car would be parked. Cause I had parked my car at the front entrance and we rode her Jeep in. My car wasn't there. And then we look over and we see this huge meadow, and we're like, where did this come from? Like, we didn't see this meadow when we had driven in there. So Angelique's like, I think we need to walk this way. I think the Jeep is this way. So we turn around and we start walking, and we just kept walking and walking and walking. And then we get to like what appears to be a fork, kind of. And she's like, okay, I think it's this way. So we take a left, and then, oh my gosh, I'm starting at this point. I'm like, okay, it's like 4 p.m, and it gets dark here around 6:37-ish. So I'm thinking, okay, we've got plenty of time to find the Jeep here, if we are a little discombobulated. Well, we had probably walked, Angelique, another 15 or 20 minutes, probably, by the time we gotten, at least. So we had been out there looking at the structure for maybe 20 minutes or so. We had walked for another 20 minutes or so. Well, we finally find the Jeep, and we're like, oh, thank goodness. And I'm like investigating it, like, did anything touch it? What's going on? We look at the time on the clock, and it was only 20 minutes had passed. And I'm telling you, we had walked for quite a bit, Well, we get in, have our snacks, we get in the Jeep, and then we go to drive to find this meadow. This meadow was over a mile away. Like, it was over a mile away.
Oh my gosh.
Classic
missing time story.
Classic missing time. Yeah. And we also think, okay, there's pudgy wudgies. Is that what they're called?
Puckwudgies.
Yes.
Puckwudgies.
Angelique on her old property had these on her old property, and she sent me information about them, and I started to research them. And what I learned is that they will lead you into the woods. They will actually lure you with things. And I started thinking maybe we were being lured by the bones, and we got turned around and somehow, lost track of time. And there's no way we could have walked a mile in those thick woods that you guys saw within a 20-minute time frame. There is absolutely no way. And so Angelique went back a week later with her son, and they drove over to that meadow. And he's like, Mom, this is over a mile. Like, there's no way you could have gotten from the tree structure to this meadow in 20 minutes. So this is a common story amongst Hoodoo Mountain, is that hunters will go out there that have hunted this land for years and years and years, and they get lost. They can't find their way back. They get turned around. Everything looks the same. Things will happen. And that happened to Angelique and I. And now we've learned our lesson. Even if you can see the Jeep, wear your pack, get prepared, because had we not had our stuff on us and we had gotten lost, we drove around that area for, gosh, probably a couple hours. And there was just dirt road upon dirt road that all looked the same.
Wow.
And had we not been able to find our way back, it just was kind of scary,
Yeah.
So,
I think that gives credence to the name Hoodoo Mountain. Okay.
Yes.
I'm just saying there's something more to it, I think.
And I live at the
Tonia,
freaking bottom.
And also to let you know, when my son and I went back there, we retraced the same steps that you and I took. And I used logging tape and I tied off to the trees so that I knew where to go back. And every few feet I would stop and make sure that I could see those trees with the tape on it. And we followed the identical trail that you and I went on. And it took us 3 hours. And we came out at the Jeep. We didn't come out a mile away down the road. We came out at the Jeep in the opposite direction. And we followed the same path that you and I took.
And Angelique reached out to Nick Valenti, and he thinks like we went through a back way portal or something, right?
Oh, yeah.
Angelique, isn't that what he said?
Wait, Angelique, I remember that. Okay, so I did a show with Nick Valenti a couple of weeks ago about missing people.
Yes.
And Angelique, are you the person who wrote the comment about that you had something happen to you and you were telling Nick?
Yes.
See, it's all coming full circle now. So yes, we meet again. I love this.
Yes.
And I remember Tonia saying, "That's my friend Angelique."
Yeah. So it's like
Nick
Idaho is
Valenti.
number 5 in human trafficking, and Angelique had an experience up at the 4th of July Pass. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, Cat Chaser, thank you for that super sticker, by the way. We appreciate you at Spaced Out Radio. Thank you. Okay, Angelique, you've had an incident where you guys might be, it could be suspected human trafficking or something like that. So tell me what happened, because this is a real danger, especially for women when you're out in the woods alone, and even in a pair, or a group, or just it doesn't just have to be women. This is a real threat out in the field.
Yeah. That's why you always pack, but I don't.
And I will tell you, even for your listeners who may not like guns, the reason why I'm here to talk to you today is because I was packing. And I didn't even, I want to be very clear that I did not pull my gun. I did not pull the gun and point it at anybody. All I did was put my hand on the hog leg, because it was a Colt 45. I put my hand on the hog leg, and all I did was face the two guys. And as they were running at me and said, "Do we have a problem?" And they went, nope, we don't have a problem. And they turned and jumped in their vehicle and took off. And I will tell you with all of my heart that I regret never getting a chance to look at their license plate. And I didn't turn it in because it happened so fast. And I went, a couple of guys, I know that I didn't really see their faces. I was more looking at what they were wearing. I was snowshoeing. It was January, and I went up to 4th of July, and I was the only human being on that pass. And I got down the trail quite a ways, and realized that the snow wasn't deep enough to snowshoe in. It had started to rot and thaw, and it wasn't good enough to snowshoe in. So I turned around with the full thought of taking off my snowshoes and hiking in anyway, but without the snowshoes. It was when I was taking my snowshoes off that this truck came barreling up the parking lot and aimed for me and parked right alongside me. And I remember thinking at the time that it looked like a Forest Service vehicle. And I thought, well, am I going to get in trouble? Am I doing something I'm not supposed to? Is nobody supposed to be here maybe, or it's closed off, And these two guys get out, and what shocked me was January, they're not wearing coats. One guy was wearing a white polo shirt. They looked like they just got out of the office. And here they come, and they're acting real odd and walking around behind me, and I'm turning and I'm watching them. And then they go to the trailhead, which is just maybe maybe 10, 15 yards from me. And they're standing there, they're rubbing their necks and they're whispering to each other. And I'm thinking, okay, my thought was, oh, there's a drug deal going down and I need to leave, you know? So I'm taking my gear off, but I had my 45 strapped to my bug out bag and it hung in front of me like this. And I turned and I happened to catch, I was watching them out of the corner of my eye and I happened to catch them turn at the same time. And they aimed right at me and started running. And I immediately went, oh, and turned. And all I did was put my hand on the hog leg. I did not pull my gun, but I put my hand on the hog leg where they could see that it was a holster and said, do we have a problem? And they go, nope.
What happened?
Nope.
Yeah. It's all about that intention. And a lot of people, you know, I used to help teach self-defense classes to women, and it's all about your intention and just having confidence and, you know, just exuding that energy of like, don't mess with me, you know, and being armed. Absolutely. I 100% do stand behind women protecting themselves in whichever way is necessary. Okay. That's my motto. Okay. So yeah, I'm proud of you, Angelique. I think you did the right thing because you could have been taken in a second.
And honestly, Jessica, wasn't it a week later a woman went missing, right? About a week later, Angelique, after your experience?
No, it was almost a year later. And I'm going to tell you my own thought about it. My own thought is that there's a trail cam up there. There's a trail cam up there because
they're watching.
There was no reason why anybody would have known that I was there because those guys showed up at least an hour after I was there. And it would take about an hour to get from Coeur d'Alene and drive up in there. But they knew that I was there and aimed straight for me with intention with their vehicle. There is a game trail up there. I know there is. I know there is. I wish there was somebody that could go up there and investigate because what happened with the girl that happened a few months ago or last winter is when it happened, is she was up there hiking by herself. And
never go alone. I mean, that's something that, you know, I have protocol of my teams. We never go alone. Even the grown men, we don't, none of us go by ourselves. Yeah.
Angelique likes to go alone.
I'm the worst. I'm the worst. I go everywhere by myself. I camp by myself. I hike by myself. I just do stuff by myself, and I'm the worst about that.
Just protect yourself, and that's what matters. Yeah. Well, that is a great message to send out to our audience tonight, especially the ladies that are out here watching. You know, just be aware of your surroundings. That is such an important aspect of all of this because the dangers are real. You know, it could be deadly in many ways out there.
Yeah.
And so, thank you for sharing that story, Angelique. That's a big deal.
Can I say a side note too that I think this is, and I hope he's watching. I don't know if he's watching or not, but Nick is absolutely a modern day hero. And I think he and his team are absolutely amazing. When they found out that this other gal came missing, he sent a team from Nova Scotia, I think he said, to come all the way down here and investigate. And their team did a better job. And I'm going to say it, they did a better job than our detectives in this area. And and
over
I think
there
Nick
to
is
Stone County.
Well, you're referring to Nick Valente. He's one of the heads of the North American Dogman project, and he's a friend of mine. I just talked to him tonight, as a matter of fact. So he's a really good dude. Okay, but yeah, everybody be aware of your surroundings, big time. And speaking about being aware of your surroundings, Cindy, you have a lot going on in your surroundings over at your home and on your property. So let's talk about that before we have to go tonight. We've got a while. We got plenty of time to talk about this, but I want to hear all about your Sasquatch activity, your portal. You tell me what else you got.
Portals.
Let's hear about it.
Well, I'll let Tonia get to that. I'll just do my precipice first. So I moved here in 2004, and I had already been researching for 4 or 5 years in East Texas, where we still have a place down there. My family, you know, my husband's family. And so I had already been to the Big Thicket. We have family in Honobia. I was
Honebi,
there.
right? Honebi.
So I just want to Honobi. I don't know how to say it.
I got corrected by somebody from there one time. So
I get corrected all the time. So I wanted to say that because I didn't just move here and then start researching. I had already had my feet, involved, and I had been like with some of the best people, Kumbo, Bear down the south, and they taught me how to track and just, I've spent thousands of hours, hundreds of hours in the woods, just listening to, just being part of the woods, and we went to the same places over and over. So then I come up to my property here, but I told my husband, no house in the woods, but we got a house in the woods, which is fine because I was supposed to move here. Tonia, I know Tonia's laughing.
I'm just laughing because it's right next to Hoodoo Mountain.
It's like right there.
I mean, the most isolated area ever, right? So
you gotta see the road to get to her house. I mean, it's down a dirt road for like a mile.
Complete opposite of what you requested.
Yes.
But, we had horses and blah, 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 long story. I mean, so my experience with this, researching in the South, I had something happen to me in the South that I didn't go back into the woods, which is a long story, but basically I had a sizzle. I was hit with infrasound, whatever you want to call it. Kumbo actually explained it to me, and I would get like really sick and have reactions. So that made me not go into the woods for a long time. And then after that we did, but they're not the same down there as up here, because in my mind, I'm done. So at that time, the war was going on, all this stuff. And so we got transferred up here, and my husband came first with the military, and I quit my career in Texas and all that good stuff. And I told him, no house in the woods. But there was nothing else out there, so I was meant to live here. In 2004, we got here in June, and oh my gosh, so much has happened. So I'm just going to try to give you the timeline quick, and then the one good story. So we had horses and dogs and all this stuff, and my whole property is woods, and all the neighbors everything is woods around here, except my next door neighbor. So in October, I noticed things happening around my property, which I wasn't sure back then, but now I'm sure, because in my head they're all bad or whatever, like East Texas. At least my experience, I've been chased on horseback out of areas in Oklahoma and East Texas. So in my mind, they're not good. And I didn't know what was happening around here. And in my mind, they're all the same up here. And I was thinking, okay. So one day I went outside. I think it was summertime. And I saw my older son was 9. My youngest, Justin, he was 2. And I found a footprint, and my older son came out, and that was the first footprint I found on my property, and I covered it up with a bucket. But what I didn't like is that it was close to my horses, where I was feeding my horses. And in Texas, my horses had been messed with, that whole thing with the tails and braiding and all that.
Oh, yeah. I talked about that the other night with Barry Littleton's favorite. The witch knots. We call them witch knots.
Yeah, yes. The witch knots. And I know what getting tangled means, and then what something else is, because I've had so many people say, well, did it get caught on a twig or barbed wire? I don't have barbed wire here.
You can tell the difference because it's braided and knotted.
Yeah. And in Texas, I had both, where it was messy, and I had 9 horses at one time. Anyway, so October, I went up on the mountain with a friend, and I did an experiment that we did in East Texas. Really stupid. But I belted out a distress call. Like, we did an experiment in East Texas. And I took a neighbor up. I was up there 20 minutes and I was trying to tell her to be quiet. And then after 20 minutes, we didn't hear anything, which, is nothing new. I've been outside all night and you don't get nothing. So we went to the other side of Hoodoo and I went up this area and I made out another distress call. And within 10 minutes, first off, my friend was driving me crazy because she wouldn't be quiet. I was like, Sue, you have to be quiet. We might not hear anything. Within 10 minutes, I could hear the whole clan coming from where we had just left on the other side of the mountain. And they were screaming and screeching like a whole choir, and they were coming really fast. And I got scared. And I heard him come, I heard the alpha male go, "Wah!" He came right up, and then it got quiet, just like our East Texas experiment. The same thing. It's like they know I'm there. My horses were being messed with. I found a footprint that summer. And I had rode up maybe 2 times, 35 miles each time. We went up that road, y'all know the road up there, and then back down the other way. And then when they came to our vehicle, I hopped in. Sue got in the other side. I was trying to pull in the recorder, and I was like, oh my God. And I had some kind of a Jeep, a Susan Wamigo with the flat top, the hard top that comes down. And I was trying to downshift going down the mountain. I was just going, I was like, and then I didn't go home right away, I don't think. And then the next day I found rocks on my porch, and I thought, well, that's weird because it was quartz. And I thought, okay. So, the following years, a lot of things happened. And then, I would hear things. My son experienced a lot of things, and especially my young one, he's like a magnet for a lot of the stuff. And he could be on your show by himself and just tell you stuff that's happened to him. But so my husband retired in 08, 07, 08, and I just was kind of trying to figure things out around here. And then I could hear them moaning like a funeral one time. I could hear them like a death. Oh, I've heard this. It was some kind of ceremony going on. You could hear them moaning, and it moaned all night, just crying, and I was like, it made me emotional, and I couldn't figure out why. Maybe because I'm an empath, I don't know. But in 2017, I'm just going to skip ahead. Okay. A lot of stuff happened. But in 2017, I almost sold my house because my house was slapped. And I still have the marks on my house. I don't know if you have any of those pictures.
I have pictures. I do. Let's see what all I've got.
Tree structure pictures there too.
I'm gonna
land.
Yeah, just show some pictures.
I'll just show some pictures. Well, these are some pictures you sent me a while back. Okay, and so I have this one of a tree bend, I believe.
Oh yeah,
looks like a little archway. Okay, on your property.
Sorry, just a minute. My phone went out. Yeah, so that was winter a couple of years, maybe 2018, but yeah, that picture,
sorry, I'm switching back and forth there.
That's okay. I think that picture is still there, but in 2017, I was, that's when everything started changing for me. Oh, duh, how can I forget? So I was also only flesh and blood. Duh, I forgot to tell you that. I was only
flesh and blood type of Bigfoot that you
believed in. Yeah.
Yeah, you believed it was only flesh and blood, not supernatural, right?
No, and I'm ashamed to say that
it's okay.
I made fun of the woo. I don't like that word, but y'all know.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so 2017. My house was slapped. I worked Monday and Friday nights. I came home. I wasn't even home. And it was around 10:15. It was a Monday night. And my husband, who is in bed, and so was my son, who was still in school at that time, my younger son, Justin. And I came home and then my neighbor texted me, and I didn't read it, and I was tired. I had who knows, something happened that night. I was just like, oh my God, give me a drink. And then I went to sleep, and the next day, which was Tuesday. So this is the Monday in May 2017, before Memorial weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, Memorial. Right, it's not Labor Day. That's September. So it was the Monday before. So my husband was eating breakfast, and he's like, he looked at me, and he said, something slapped the house. Now, y'all gotta know, my husband is not into this. Not 1 iota. He's sick of the topic. He doesn't want to know about it.
Right.
But he said he was eating breakfast Tuesday morning, and he said, something slapped the house. What?
Yeah.
When? He said, I don't know, 30 minutes before you came home. It was like 11 when I came home. And I ran outside to look, and I didn't see anything where I sleep out there on the outside. But I went to the front of my house, which the front of my house has a run-in porch. And I saw slap. Now it's only the palm prints and the ends. And I was like, oh my God. And so I ran back inside, and he was getting, yeah, I am so sorry, y'all. Stupid phone. He was getting ready to leave, and I read my neighbor's message, and he said, hey, heads up. It was like 12 something. So whatever was here went over to his house, through the woods, through the game trail. It's a big ass game trail. And he said, which the trail comes by my window.
Oh my gosh.
And he said,
easy access to your house. Yeah.
He said, something's outside. Now, my neighbor doesn't know what I do. I don't bug him. He's ex-military, and my husband's ex-military, and I see those guys here, they're just like recluses, basically.
Yeah.
So he just sent me this long message and said, something's outside. My animals are acting crazy. And later that night, after I don't know, it was 1 a.m, his wife was asleep. One cat was hissing, looking out the window. His property is all woods too. And he said he was standing outside. He felt like this. He had this feeling. He looked outside, and it was a full moon, or light enough out.
Just like tonight, it's full moon.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he has like a horseshoe driveway. And I mean, it's more woods than mine. And he saw something standing on 2 legs, and it was sniffing the air. I mean, like sniffing the air. And he said he just kind of like went like this, because it looked, y'all, at him. Like it knew he was looking.
Oh gosh.
And he turned, and this, whatever it was, a Bigfoot or a Dogman, looked at him, and he slept with his gun all night long. But did he call the police? No.
No. Yeah.
So he said, the following day, I went to go talk to him. No, it was that same day. I went to go talk to him, and he really couldn't give me too much information. He just said, well, I think it was a bear. And I was like, but it has a pointy nose, right? And he goes, yeah, bears have pointy nose. And I was like, yeah, right. Okay. And I just didn't bring up the Bigfoot thing. Tonia's laughing.
But you do have a lot of Bigfoots on your property, and that's
going through.
And portals. Yeah. You guys, we only have like 2 minutes left tonight.
Okay. Do you want me to talk about the portal?
Yes. Go ahead.
The portal really quick, and the healing that you do on the land. If we can pack it in 2 minutes.
Jessica, there should be a photo in there of the labyrinth and of the tree structures on her land. So when I met Cindy, she told me about her land, and I said, I want to come out and clear it, because that's what me and my friends have been doing. We've been using sound frequencies to clear the land. So I had come out first because I have a history of clearing earthbound spirits. And the first day I went out there, that's immediately what I picked up on, was there was a significant amount of earthbound spirits that were trapped on her land and on the mountain as well. So I had come out and I had done some clearings on the land, and I got emotional because what had happened is when I released those spirits, the other energies on the land were actually sad to see them go. And Cindy and I both kind of got a little emotional, and then she got a little disoriented after that. So I do feel that they were attached to her a little bit when I cleared that land. And then, so the weird thing is that day I cleared the land, and then we felt a little better, right? I went home that night, and then the next day she called me and said, hey, can you come back out? I'm feeling that you need to come back out again and clear. So that next day I came out. She had found some feathers, some white feathers on her property, like right outside her door. And as I was walking the property, I found this circle, and it should be in there, Jessica. It's like a circle with some rocks. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So for those of you who are familiar with a spiral shape, this was not on the property the first day that I went out there. But what had happened after I had cleared the earthbound spirits, the next day when I went out there, we had found this, what appears to be a labyrinth. And now I have been watching Skinwalker Ranch, and someone had actually posted in the chat that Hoodoo Mountain is another Skinwalker Ranch. And I am 100% convinced that it is, and that this spiral represents a portal. Now, I was picking up that there's 3 portals on the property, but we had gone in with the sound bowls and the sound frequencies and actually cleared this property.
Wow.
And that night we had cleared some dense and heavy energy and banished some things from her land back to the mountain. And so there is a lot of energy on her land, that not just Sasquatch, Dogman, it is entities, it is earthbound spirits. There's a lot. And I know we've got to wrap things up, so I was trying to speak quick.
Part 2.
Yeah, you guys did a great job. Will y'all please come back and let's do a part 2 to this, and probably
We'll
part 3
have
and 4.
to.
You
We
have
didn't
to,
even
because
touch-
we didn't even show hardly any of the pictures tonight. Okay, because it goes by so fast, and I just
That's
love
okay.
you ladies. Thank y'all so much. It's like woman power tonight. I love this. You know, there are a lot of female Bigfoot researchers out there, and you guys represent, and I just love it. And Hoodoo Mountain, I would love to come out there sometime.
Come
do some
on.
research with y'all. I will. I'll
Come on.
come out there sometime. So
Hey, I'll drive down there and get you.
come
Just
get
make
me.
sure it's a
Come get
full
me in
moon.
Georgia. Yeah. All right. Well, listen, you guys, just thank y'all so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. Y'all be safe out there, and protect yourselves. Okay. Protect yourselves spiritually and physically. Okay. Angelique, Cindy, Tonia, thank y'all so much again. And we will see y'all
Thank you.
soon. We'll see y'all again. Okay. All right. I'm going to take y'all down. Y'all have a great night. Okay, everybody. That was amazing. Don't forget that right after this show, you can join the After Hours crew. They're going to take you on a mysterious journey for the next 3 hours. Next week on Off the Trails, my guest will be Tom Springer, and we'll be talking about interdimensional high strangeness. I can't wait to see y'all there. But for now, I'm the Cryptid Huntress. I'm headed off the trails. I'll see you guys next week. After Hours is next. Y'all have a great week. I'll see y'all soon. Bye, y'all.